for the Biffy.
You ask what this is? This is the Star Tribune's voting guide.
Oh.
How would I know how to vote in this race, in all the races? Because it's very thorough. It even gives us the House and the Senate. Welcome back to Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians and the lying corporate media. By the way, we're not going to get to the story about the Star Tribune that the Reformer's talking about today and their new CEO, right? That's an interesting story. Steve Groves is doing a book on the side. He's got a side hustle, and he's basically going to talk about his time in the Walz administration, but he's running the newspaper, Fair and Balanced. I'm sure this is Fair and Balanced. I haven't even read it yet.
It's like CBS.
Yeah, exactly. Joining me, as always, MAGA Jesse. What are we going to be talking about today?
Yeah, we got a good show lined up. We'll be breaking down the debate where Tim Walz got crushed by J.D. Vance there. I don't think there's anybody, honestly or genuinely thinking
what's fake news? I have a panel on NBC that says Walz won.
Yup, exactly. Besides MSNBC and CNN, the rest of the fake news, everybody knows that J.D. Vance crushed that debate. We'll be breaking down some moments. Tim Walz lied nonstop during that debate. We'll be talking about the media gaslighting since then. We got a great interview lined up with Troy Scheffler, who is running against Josh Heintzeman for state representative. Then we will be talking about an artificial intelligence anti-free speech bill. Mary Franson suing against it, but she voted for it, and one guy, only one person voted against this anti-free speech bill. And we have him here in studio, Senator Nate Wesenberg.
Wow, that's crazy.
I didn't want to tell you about the story. I wanted to get your organic reaction. You didn't know about this,
I know
did
nothing
you?
about it, so I guess I'll find out live.
I didn't know either. In Alpha News, Liz Collin interviews her, and it's like a puff piece. It's like, wait a second. I swear to God, Wesenberg was the only one to vote against that thing. I look it up. Maybe she wasn't there that day. It was 131-0. Nope. She voted for a bill she is now suing the government over. Like, I can't wait to talk about that. That is a crazy story.
I wonder why they didn't call me.
Well,
Yeah.
you think the one guy that didn't actually vote for it would be on the, maybe the guy who's trying to sue would actually reach out to the one guy that voted against it, you know?
Maybe.
And you vote against it for the same reasons she's now saying she's against this bill. Well, why would I even be surprised by this? Joining me also is Troy Scheffler. We're going to get into your story later on, but how you doing there, man?
I'm doing well, and thanks for having me. It's an honor being amongst such esteemed company.
I don't honestly know what story is going to be the most interesting to our audience today, so we're going to lead off on the debate. I would have loved to do a special show yesterday, just too busy. But your story with Josh Heintzeman, the crazy, we call him Oompa Loompa around here, that's a crazy story.
Hobbit. I prefer the Hobbit.
Okay. Mary Franson's story is weird. I don't know where this is going. And then if we couldn't make it any more interesting, we're going to bring on Paul Tushy, Liberty Longbeard, in the post show via Zoom to give you the greatest inside information in politics in Minnesota if we haven't already covered a normal thing. Let us know where you're watching from. We'll be reading a Rumble comments. We'll try to get to YouTube. We're going to growing audience on YouTube now. Who do we have already in the comments section?
We got Tucker91, T-Wall for Life, Chaz651, Razzle Dazzle, and Scuba McSalty says Walz is way ahead in the polls with school shooters and Chinese spies. He's friends with school shooters. He said it himself, so I wouldn't be surprised if the school shooters are voting Walz.
That was like probably my most viral tweet I've ever tweeted out. I quickly captured that video and then I put it out. There's only 2 seconds, and all of a sudden, like, everyone's. And I said in my tweet, I'm like, we know he doesn't mean school shooters. He's just misspeaking. And I actually have a conspiracy theory over this. I'll get to it in just a bit. Thank you to our great sponsors today, Alpine Chemistry in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Warren Wessel of Keller Williams Realty. If you're looking to buy a home or you want to sell your home, give my good friend Warren a call at 612-419-7453. Not only is he a good patriot, and not only does he sing in my church choir, but he's a damn good realtor. So give Warren a call if you're buying or selling a home. And if you're buying a home, give the good guys at John Galt Mortgage Company a chance at financing that home. The Chermak brothers from Western Minnesota. You got homegrown guys, entrepreneurs, young dudes, both under 40. They are building a great company. They believe the things you and I believe in. Go to their Facebook or Twitter pages to learn how they just put out their values, which are very pro-liberty. Right there, give them a chance at financing your next home. All right. If you want to interrupt us anytime, hit that Rumble rant or YouTube Super Chat. Can we do that now, Dawson? I don't know.
Not yet, no.
We're opening up our YouTube channel a lot more, and Facebook to some degree. So, Susie says, good day from Dakota County. Good day, Susie. But if you want to interrupt at the same time, hit that Rumble Rant button, and we'll read your comment live on air. All right, let's start out with you, Jesse. This is I can't believe. Well, how do I want to phrase this? I can't believe I actually watched the whole debate in some regards because the debate is so immaterial, but I hate Tim Walz so much. Oh, by the way, our show on Tuesday, well before the debate, was his temper, how angry Walz is not this jolly good guy like this. I mean, is it not look flamboyantly gay when he keeps doing this, in all these debates? And then he doesn't, it's like he's so awkward around his wife. It is weird, but I'm not going to go down there. He's an angry guy. We know it in Minnesota. You're a state senator. You know how angry Tim Walz is. And that debate was a different dude. It was not the guy you see all over the place.
When I was seeing him around the Capitol, I was wondering if this was coming because I could see him losing weight throughout the session. Like I noticed it. Like something's going on. Why is he all of a sudden exercising and not eating donuts? So he knew about this for a long time, I'm sure.
Maybe he just had a health scare. I don't know.
I don't know.
I can't.
If he goes on the national stage as Pudgy Tim Walz, he looks.
You're saying
worse.
they had this whole thing planned out. They were gonna do the coup against Biden, insert Kamala and Kamala.
Well, no. I'm just saying. Maybe.
I'm sure
I can get
he.
on board with that, no problem. I think it was pretty clear.
Well, we called that they would do something against Joe Biden. We just didn't think they'd go with Kamala because this might seem ancient history, but Kamala wasn't very well liked. She wasn't very respected. So, okay. So anyhow, we got a Rumble Rant. We got to read that first.
Okay, it's not popping up on my screen for some reason. Next week, October 11th.
Oh no, you're doing the Tushi.
Yeah,
do I need to read it?
You got to read it.
Yeah, why is it not showing up in yours? That's interesting.
I don't know. It's
Tucker
Rumble.
says next weekend, October 11th through 12th, Tim Walz will be in Sleepy Eye for Governor's Pheasant Opener. Come down to enjoy the festivities and to heckle Tampon Timmy. Interesting. Well, is he going to bring Kamala, who's also a hunter?
Yeah,
maybe that's how we start out this. This part of I think that was a misspeak too, right? He was saying, "I'm a gun owner." Kamala's, how do you say? Kamala's a gun owner.
I'm a gun owner. I'm a hunter. Kamala is too.
Yeah, no, she's a hunter.
I think
but didn't she say she was a hunter of people though, right? Because she said if someone comes in my house, I'm going to shoot them.
Yeah, right.
I don't remember anything about deer or anything like that, so she's hardcore.
It'd be interesting. Is Kamala for the castle doctrine? Is she for self-defense laws? All of a sudden, I'm wondering, is Kamala Harris pro-gun? It's obvious that her and Walz are trying to pretend to be something they're not.
Is Kamala our guy?
Yeah.
This could be the October surprise. Tim Walz is going to shoot somebody, and then somebody's going to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Tim Walz. Must be a lot of pressure on you." Blah 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 blah. Pull a Dick Cheney, right?
Yeah, maybe he is.
That's my guess.
That did happen. Dick Cheney did shoot somebody, and that
blows my mind.
Or he doesn't show up because everybody hates him.
Yeah. Yep. But I guess we can get into this
your article. This
some
is
of the
great.
lies that were told during this debate. Dawson, go ahead and pull up that article. This obviously doesn't cover all of them, but there was plenty to go off of. Basically, any time that Walz was opening his mouth at just about any issue, he was telling some kind of lie. So once we get that pulled up on the screen here.
Which one is it?
The one we're talking about. I don't know. I don't have the...
Is it on the sheet?
Yeah, it's on the sheet.
Where?
It's probably the first one, Dawson.
I see Twitter, Jake Duesenberg.
Wait, what are you talking? Okay, you get that. I'll get it up there, and then
Okay.
I'll get it up there. Go to that Rumble Rant there, Jesse, if you got that
$5
one.
Rumble Rant. We got Phil Cannon saying Dawson should not be allowed to speak unless he does a proper proposal. So that's obviously in reference to last week.
Yeah, but
Dawson.
if you watch the post show, there really wasn't a proposal. That was fake news, total fake news.
Yep.
It's my favorite.
But I'll just start getting into this, and then we'll pull it up.
Yeah,
once
it's not
available,
live on the website, Jesse.
Okay.
So
Well-
I'll get on the back end. Go ahead. Get
Okay.
into your article here.
So, post-birth abortion was obviously one of the big issues that was discussed during the VP debate. The lie that Tim Walz said was that Walz denied that Minnesota has abortions legal up until birth/the 9th month. The truth of the matter, as seen in our previous article from the presidential debate, Minnesota has a radical policy that was passed in SF 2995, which was a massive 845-page omnibus bill. This bill repealed laws requiring physicians to, quote, take all reasonable measures to preserve the life and health of any born alive infant that is the result of an abortion. And then it was replaced with vague language about care. So basically, it's 100% proof that Minnesota does not have laws that protect born fetuses. It's 100% legal for abortions for the 9th month or, after birth is 100% legal in Minnesota. They want unclear laws. Tim Walz just goes up there and denies it. And also on the issue of abortion, Tim Walz says, quote, their Project 2025 is going to have a registry of pregnancies, and was claiming that Trump and Vance are going to create this federal agency dedicated to this purpose. Now, of course, the truth is that Trump and Vance have nothing to do with the creation of Project 2025, and it's become a scarecrow for leftist sheep. Walz is repeating party propaganda in order to scare women into supporting him and Kamala. This was such a blatant lie that even CNN has fact-checked this and discredited Walz on the claim before the debate even happened. So people can find that in the article.
Hey,
I
you
got
should
that
hyperlink
linked in.
that Walz Lies hat to the actual AFRL store.
It does.
Yeah, because it does?
Yeah.
Oh, good job.
Yep.
Oh, funny. Yeah, go click on that real quick. Yeah, there you go. You can buy the Walz Lies cap right
Yep.
there. It's a trucker cap too. Mort just loves this thing.
Yep,
you know?
and that's the thing. If you want to wake up people in style, check it out right there. So you can find that actionforliberty.com.
Yeah.
So when we were going through the abortion debate, I asked what is comfort care. And I don't think this was on the Senate floor. I think it was in committee. But someone said you could literally, the baby could be born and you could just wrap it in a blanket and let it sit there and die. Mm-hmm. That's what they said comfort care could be. Now they're saying, well, what happens if a baby's born without ask Jenny what the term was, like without a skull or something? Because this is what they're saying. Well, some babies are born and they're missing body parts or they don't have a skull. Those babies will not survive. There's no doubt about it. But that's not what they're doing. They're literally killing perfectly healthy babies, and it's legal. You can have a perfectly healthy baby in the vagina and you can kill it, or it can be born, they didn't kill it, and it can come out and you can leave it to die, or they can kill it, and that's legal. That's murder.
Right. The Democrats, they don't even argue that it's illegal. Really what they just say is, well, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
Right.
We don't do abortions like that. It's only in rare circumstances.
We're not going to know because we can't keep track of abortions anymore.
Exactly.
We could have
because
had
we're
1
not
million abortions this
tracking
year that were taxpayer funded, 2017, and we don't know about it because it's illegal. We can't keep track of abortions.
Yep.
So if the taxpayers are paying for abortions, shouldn't we at least know how many kids we're killing? Fucking disgusting.
Do
Sorry.
these laws not being there, does that
For
put
what?
the burden of care or whatever on the physicians then, or who's accountable for it?
Well, previously the doctors, what was it
We're
called?
responsible too.
Born Alive legislation or act or
They had
whatever
to
it's called.
They had to try to treat them as a person.
Yeah.
They had to try to keep them alive. Now they don't.
Right.
But you're going to have most doctors they're not going to do that. They're going to keep the baby alive.
Right.
So if you can look at the abortions we had in 2022, and most of the abortions are performed by like a couple doctors. So now if you want an abortion, that's where people are going, is those doctors, and they're going to perform an abortion. You could be like, hey, don't want this baby. They'll kill it. They don't care.
And we've had previous laws in Minnesota, not that have been passed, but that have been introduced that would allow for abortions in hospitals and all kinds of things like that. So when J.D. Vance is talking about what you want to have abortions in Catholic hospitals, it's not that far off and it's totally possible. But another misleading.
It is happening.
I don't see it in here though.
Does
This issue is just not in my voter guide by a Star Tribune.
Does that
unfortunately,
go
so-
against the Hippocratic Oath if the doctor just lets the baby die?
Well,
Yeah.
that's what they're trying. Well, I guess that's just an oath. This is what the law now says.
So
Yeah.
then I asked people, I said,
But it's not a wanted baby. On the books in Minnesota right now, there are manslaughter, murder charges, assault charges against an unborn baby. It's literally a section
Right.
of Minnesota statute. So the best I can tell is it's a human being as long as you want it, and then you could actually be found guilty for murdering an unborn baby. But if it's an unwanted baby, the mother can kill
if
it.
you get in a car, if you're drunk and you're pregnant, you get in a car accident, and the baby dies, you're charged with homicide.
Correct. Yeah.
That's happened in Minnesota.
Yeah, it'd be interesting how many cases it is, but you can look it up. State statute. I can't remember. I could look it up while we're live.
Well, here's something I want to do. Like in Minnesota, it's like a $200,000 fine for smashing an eagle egg. So I want to just take that away. It shouldn't be a fine at all. I mean,
Yeah.
Eagles are more important than humans.
Well, that was like an old Rush
Yeah.
Limbaugh argument, is that liberals cared more about sea turtle eggs because it was a federal crime to kill a sea turtle egg than it is to actually kill an unborn baby.
Wear a condom. Boom.
Well, yeah, we solved all the problems. That's all it takes. Okay.
So as far as solving problems and being that I'm running as an independent and a populist and an open nationalist, abortion and stuff like that is near and dear to me. And I think there needs to be a culture change, being that the Republicans, Democrats are the major parties. What are the Republicans doing to change the culture? Because changing the culture changes the votes. Just voting isn't going to change the culture. So, I mean, that's always kind of been my concern, and obviously why I'm running as an independent. I don't think the Republicans have been strong enough and in your face enough. I see 99 out of 100 times, the only times Republicans want to come out and really say what they feel about abortion is like at an MCCL rally, where it's like you're preaching to the choir. What are you doing? How are you reaching out to anyone else to convince them that abortion itself is ripping away the very sanctity of what being a woman is? I mean, why aren't Republicans saying, well, okay, here's your argument, liberals. You're saying, oh, what about rape? What about birth defects? What about whatever? Okay, great. Mm-hmm. Terms accepted, sign here.
Yeah.
But that doesn't come out. And
you're right, you have to change the culture. I mean, even if we change the laws right now and made abortion legal, it's still sad that we as a culture don't understand what that is, right?
We got a $5 Rumble Rant. Failed candidate says, we do not want politicians to change the culture. We want them to stay out of it. So I think that's a fair point as well.
Well, yeah, but I mean, honestly, we should be, candidates or whoever
3 weeks
for office
ago
should be talking to the culture right now.
Right.
So like 3 weeks ago, I think Mike Weiner had a thing in Alexandria. They had mothers who had an abortion. They came and spoke about how bad they felt. And it was like 72% of people who have an abortion regret it. So he had these people come and speak, and I've talked to him a little bit about it back and forth since then, is wanting to try to do this more. Have these people come and talk to people and say, look, this is a bad idea. Let's not do it. And that's how you start to get that culture shift, is have the people that it happened to say, you're going to regret it, and just get them to talk to people. That's something.
Is that post saying that we shouldn't legislate culture? Because that's literally what laws are.
Well, you got to also remember that came from failed candidate.
Fair enough. But why can't people be just blunt enough to be able to say, look, I mean, when people ask me about abortion, I'm like, yeah, I'm totally pro-choice. A woman has a choice to spread her legs, and the natural consequence of having sex is to get pregnant. Now deal with that consequence.
Yeah, well, so do the men. That's the other problem with our culture.
There it is. And
we don't have consequences for men, and we better have consequences for men because it takes two. And by the way, I just realized the leftists are going to be watching the show, and they go, oh, 5 men talking about abortion. So just so you guys know, we all now identify as women, so we can talk about this abortion issue.
Hey, my ID says non-binary on it.
Does it really?
So, yes, it does.
Well, then you can't talk about it, but the rest of us have now
so just
transition to women. What is a woman, by the way? We transitioned to women, so now we could do it. By the way, Marty, 1967, Republicans are doing nothing to change the culture. They want to pull us left. Great point. From the party's chair down to the lowest candidates, that's what they're doing, is they're saying it's a constitutional right. Wow, good job seating that argument. All right, we're just stuck on the abortion issue. Real quick, Dawson, pull up A3. This is... if you scroll down to, let's see here, it's sections. It's section, I just had it. Section 609266, probably a third of the way down. That's the crimes against unborn children that are on the books in Minnesota. You can see it's murder of unborn children, manslaughter on unborn, assault on unborn children. So there you go. I mean, it's defined in law that a child or a human being, because you don't murder animals, you don't murder plants, unless you're some crazy environmentalist, you would use that language. You murder human beings. And so on the books, they're saying it's a human being. It's absolutely insane. Okay, what's the next live by Tim Walz?
So that was on energy and solar panels, because Walz gave a misleading statement on the topic of energy when J.D. Vance was criticizing the manufacturing of solar panels in China. J.D. argued that we shouldn't be buying Chinese solar panels and instead we should be making them here, to which Walz responded, quote, "We are in Minnesota." This is to give the impression that Minnesota is a competitor to China in solar panels, but here's the truth of the matter. Over 80% of the world's manufacturing of solar panels is done in China. Even left-wing news sources like MinPost say only 3.86% of Minnesota electricity production was created by solar panels in 2022. Tim Walz signed legislation to make Minnesota carbon neutral by 2040, which is to the left of communist China's Xi Jinping, which requires carbon neutrality by 2060. According to the U.S. Department of Energy's solar manufacturing map, Minnesota has 2 solar recycling centers, 2 structural non-energy manufacturing facilities, 1 facility that manufactures insulating adhesive material, and only 1 solar manufacturing module that actually produces solar panels in the state. The lone producer of solar panels in Minnesota, Helene Incorporated, is actually a Canadian company with a production capacity of 800 megawatts a year, compared to the 216 gigawatts manufactured by China. This means that China outproduces Minnesota in solar panel manufacturing by a margin of 270 to 1. This comes after Walz got a $60 million grant from the EPA to give to solar companies. So Minnesota is not competitive at all with China on solar energy, and the only manufacturing that we have from it is from a Canadian company. So we're not competitive at all. And this Helene, they're also connected to China. Big surprise. They're still buying goods and materials from China, and they've had to put out statements that say they want to, quote, mitigate and eliminate the use of slavery in their supply chains and business operations. So that's the company that Tim Walz is bragging about for solar panels, and it shows that we're not competitive at all. He was misrepresenting what's going on in Minnesota. We don't have any competition when it comes to solar, and the 2040 carbon neutral thing is going to destroy this state. Then illegal immigration. Tim Walz.
Hold on. So that's really good work, Jesse. I had not heard anyone take this on, and I told you to front load this one because that is literally something people aren't going to get anywhere else. What did you have for that, Dawson?
I was gonna ask a question to Senator Wesenberg, and also really quick, 271 China to Minnesota. That's not crazy terrible. I'm actually kind of impressed with that number.
Yeah, but the idea behind this is that Walz is touting like these are Minnesota jobs, these American jobs.
Yeah, that we're going to be able to compete, that we can produce them here in Minnesota, that we don't have to rely on China, even though over 80% of them will be made in China.
I'd like to see that happen if it's possible. I don't know, but
well, I'd love to see the manufacturing of them here too, but it's not happening.
Yeah.
Well, do you think this is kind of a distraction, though, the whole solar panel thing? I mean, if anyone was really serious, if either party was serious about the environment, either party was serious about energy and independence, either party wanted to solve any of this, the easiest solution would just be to build nuclear power plants. I mean, they're the cleanest, they're the safest, they're the most advanced technology that we have right now. And if we had that abundance of energy to free up R&D for other stuff, we'd have the next generation of energy that would be out there.
Right.
But they absolutely refuse to do it. And why the Republicans or whoever gave up that fight is beyond me. But at the same time, let's be fair. And again, I'm an independent, so I'm an equal opportunity discriminator here. The reason that China is even an industrial powerhouse is that Reagan built 12 nuclear power plants for China and a gambit to make essentially a slave class for industry. Mm-hmm. And we offshored everything over there, and it was like, oh my God, this is going to be an abject mess if this continues. And then, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I started noticing all the tags, and you probably remember this, where there'd be made in Korea, made in Vietnam, made in Mexico. Then all of a sudden it's just made in China.
Yeah.
And it was all made in China. So as far as this tariff stuff, I think the ship has sailed on that one. It's going to be too much of a culture shock and a supply line gridlock if we actually implemented all that stuff right now. It needs to be a hell of a lot more gradual, and I think the only way out of it and to rebuild our industry is the same thing we did for China. Build nuclear power plants and bring back industry and give the industry cheap energy to be able to be competitive with China and the rest of the world. Again, China got it right. They built the nuclear power plants, and they're not slowing down.
Yeah.
Right.
Nuclear, without a doubt, is the best.
What's that?
Nuclear, without a doubt, is the best.
Oh yeah,
and it sucks we don't do it.
Well, you can't get the Democrats or some Republicans to even go there though, because if they're doing it there, why don't we just do it here and we can do it cleaner? Because we have environmental regulations that they're not going to let change, but we can do it here. It can be clean, bring money here, everything will be cheaper, but they don't want to do it.
Jesse, pick the next biggest slide, because then I got to do the one on the shooting, and I'm just realizing it's gonna be hard. Yeah, it's gonna be so hard to condense this show, all the topics, and try to do this in an hour 15-ish. So pick the next one. I'm gonna post this. I'll pick
Iranian nuclear weapons, because I don't think a lot of people will be talking about what the lie was there. Because
I like that. By the way, I'm gonna post this article so you guys can read it. It's really good. It's gonna get sent out an email too from Action for Liberty Night. Jesse did a great job on it. All right, let's talk about Iran.
Yep. So Walz claimed, quote, Iran is closer to a nuclear weapon than they were before because of Donald Trump's fickle leadership, end quote. And on the topic of Iran's nuclear capabilities being able to produce a nuclear weapon in 1 to 2 weeks, Walz suggested that Trump pulling out of the Iran nuclear agreement put in place by Obama is the reason why Iran is closer than ever. But here's the truth of the matter. The chief negotiator of the Iran deal, U.S. Special Representative for Iran, Robert Milley, stated in an interview with PBS NewsHour that Iran would gain access to assets and would be able to sell oil and gain revenue from it. Former Treasury Secretary Jacob Lew testified on July 23, 2015, that the Senate, before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, that Iran would have access to $50 billion in U.S. foreign reserves. The Iranian nuclear agreement prolonged the issue and strengthened Iran. Walz's false assertion that this agreement was working is a farce. Even White House National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications, John Kirby, stated that Iran was not accommodating to their end of the bargain. Walz cannot pretend that the Iran deal did anything but make America less safe by emboldening our enemies. It is also ironic to blame Trump for an issue that is happening under the failed leadership of Biden and Kamala.
You know, the press is acting like Walz was very uncomfortable on the foreign policy issue. It's hard to tell if it was because he really started out nervous, rocky. Mm-hmm. I had a meme that I created of Walz superimposed in a deer in a headlight, which is, I think, basically our graphic for this episode. Mm-hmm. But he really, really was bad from the start. He found his groove eventually in that debate. Let's just be honest. Mm-hmm. I think it was after like the first commercial break, but boy, was he rough. That China answer, like about it. You know what? That's A2. Just in case people didn't see this, pull up the A2. This is the most awkward, I think probably one of the most awkward moments of the debate. If you get past the fact he said he was friends with school shooter. Watch this.
Lake in Nebraska.
Follow up on that. The question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests, went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Thank you, Governor.
Okay, Dawson, go to the A4. So the other big thing from this, and we'll leave this up to you because it's on some scale. It's on a scale of a lie, but we'll leave it up to you. But this is what he said. I think a lot of you that watched the debate remember him saying this, that his son witnessed a school shooting. Okay, so we're going to play exactly what he says in the debate. Go ahead.
I think all the parents watching tonight, this is your biggest nightmare. Look, I got a 17-year-old, and he witnessed a shooting at a community center playing volleyball. Those things don't leave you. As a member of Congress, I sat in my office surrounded by dozens of the Sandy Hook parents, and they were looking at my 7-year-old picture on the wall. Their 7-year-old were dead.
Okay, now
and they were asking
go to 2 minutes in. Okay, then you're gonna see J.D. Vance empathize with them. And then
this breaks your heart.
Oh, that threw him off. When he actually
Tim, first of all, I didn't know that your 17-year-old witnessed a shooting, and I'm sorry about that. And I hope that he's doing okay. Christ have mercy. It is
okay,
awful.
Right there. So what does that mean? Witness a school shooting.
He did not say witness a school shooting. He said witness a shooting.
Sorry, witness a shooting. What does that mean to you guys? Witnessed a shooting.
Saw it happen.
Saw it happen.
Well, yeah. If I say witness something, I saw it happen.
Saw a firearm shoot somebody.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
In the vicinity, yeah.
Yeah, so this is actually a story. Pull up the A5. This is according to Twin Cities News. I had never heard the story, by the way. Apparently, he said it a couple times, but certainly not on any big stage. Walz' son, Gus, who at the time was 16 and attending St. Paul Central High School, was at the Jimmy Lee Recreation Center at Oxford Community Center. Sorry, ad popped up and it moved my page. Across the street from the school when a city employee, so once again, was at the Jimmy Lee Recreational Center at Oxford Community Center across the street from the school when a city employee shot a 16-year-old boy in the head in January 2023. Turns out, looked like it was a weak case for self-defense. Kids were attacking him. The 16-years were attacking him. The guy was probably in his early 20s. He pulls out a firearm, shoots it, okay? So it's not like a clear-cut, school. It's not like a school shooter where a guy's actually going in and, committing a murderous act. This guy was being attacked, although I'm not saying this guy operated because he's in jail right now. He didn't operate the right way. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz' presidential campaign confirmed location of the shooting Walz described in the debate to multiple national news outlets late Tuesday night. The teen survived the shooting, okay, so it didn't actually end in a killing, but has lasting brain injuries, according to a lawsuit filed by his family against the city. The park employee, Xavier Dwayne Binford Jr., then 26, was initially charged with attempted murder and later pleaded guilty to the first-degree assault. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Shortly after, Gus Walz made national headlines for his emotional response to his father's speech at the Democrat National Convention in Chicago. A longtime St. Paul youth athletics coach who was with the governor's son at the rec center during the shooting shared what happened in a social media post. I validated this post, too. Quote, he helped keeping everyone safe and calm, looking after the kids in gym with us as I rushed out, said David Albornoz, who was among 3 to receive an award from St. Paul's Fire Department for rendering life-saving aid to the teen shot in the parking lot. His son didn't witness a shooting, right? Can we agree on that point, that he didn't witness a shooting? Now, he was in the vicinity. Apparently, he's in the gym, and it looks like Gus did a good job keeping maybe younger kids.
Sounds like it was one of those knucklehead moments that Walz misspoke again.
Yep.
I mean, but it's like, I know what you're doing, Walz. You're trying to draw this sympathy. You drew it from your opponent on stage live. Yeah. But let's be honest, that's not really what you're doing. You're trying to draw sympathy from the audience. And this just seems to be a pattern with Walz.
Does he not deserve sympathy because his son didn't watch the gunfire?
It's like stolen valor all over again. It's like you're making it sound like your son.
And it's a crazy enough story. You don't need to exaggerate.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think that's the point. Like, you can tell the story the way it happened, not say my son saw it.
Yeah. Well, so now we're angry at politicians for bolstering up their stories?
Well, every politician.
Trump says his crowd size is a million
totally different,
every time.
Though. It just seems disgusting that Walz keeps doing this. And it's actually the problem that people have with stolen valor, right? Is you're trying to get some bit of sympathy from people. Like, oh, this is a heroic kind of person, right? By the way, it sounds like Gus did a very good job, in that circumstance. But for him to go then and say it, in fact, in many ways, he's poisoning the story, right? Because you're now telling us something that's not true. Am I seeing this differently? Is this not like, no. Is that not what we were construing from his story, that his son witnessed this thing? It seems to be a pattern with Tim Walz. Now, I don't know if anyone's even fact-checked that one. But, the fact-checkers are busy and the media's gaslighting us on this debate. I find this so fascinating, CBS. Now, honestly, I don't know did you guys all watch this debate live?
Yeah, I watched it for about 3 minutes and I had to turn it off. I can't stand listening to Walz.
Yeah, I know. I don't usually wish ill will on people, but I really wanted Tim Walz to bomb.
I saw the highlights afterwards, but I couldn't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I think J.D. Vance won the debate, whatever the hell that means. I don't think it's going to make any bit of difference, really, in the grand scheme of things in this election. But the left is pretend like Tim Walz did so well and J.D. Vance is like, oh my God, do you really believe so? This is CBS post-debate fact-checking. I mean, this stuff is so funny. So right away, here you go. We need to turn to CBS for fact-checking. By the way, live on air, they're trying to fact-check J.D. Vance, and he actually appropriately calls him out for it. But CBS confirmed, the CBS News confirmed team fact check, the biggest claim made by Governor Tim Walz in Ohio Center in tonight's debate in New York City. Misleading claim. Vance claims Trump peacefully gave. So this is how they lead it, right? And by the way, this is just what the Democrats' talking point is. The big supposed slip up in the whole debate is the fact that J.D. Vance couldn't admit that Trump lost the election. I don't like Trump. I didn't like J.D. Vance's response, but needless to say, they're making this like this is the most important issue to people. I think grocery prices and housing prices and the border are, and by the way, it's not just me, it's poll tested. Those are the biggest issues, but they're acting like this is the biggest thing for the undecided voters who probably didn't even watch the debate in the first place, right? So anyhow, they say it's misleading Vance. It's really rich for Democratic leaders to say that Donald Trump is a unique threat to democracy when he peacefully gave over power on January 20th. And then they go on to fact check that. Did Donald Trump not step down from the White House? Did I forget? Are the Q people all correct about this thing? And he's still in charge? I thought Donald Trump left peacefully. I must have forgotten that. Right? Did he not leave peacefully? Details. President Biden was sworn in office on January 20th, 2021, assuming the office of the presidency from former President Donald Trump. However, before Mr. Biden's inauguration that day, pro-Trump protesters participated in a violent insurrection, that is subjective, by the way, at the U.S. Capitol building on January 6, 2021. The insurrection disrupted a joint session of Congress that had convened to certify the results of the 2020 presidential election. In the weeks leading up to the joint session, Trump pressured then Vice President Mike Pence, who presided over the certification of the results by Congress, to reject the votes. Pence later told Fox News, President Trump demanded that I use my authority as Vice President presiding over the count. All this is subjective, right? All that is subjective. But, hey, we're fact-checking here.
Well, what happened with Walz during that one summer? Did Minneapolis burn or something?
Well, you can't ask those kind of questions. That's irrelevant. We must care more about what's happening in the U.S. Capitol. By the way, clearly the people that were assaulting police officers, bad actors there, right? And I don't know how many of those people were FBI agents, but you know what? Honestly, it's a joke that we're supposed to care more about this basically unarmed insurrection at the Capitol when Donald Trump clearly said from the stage, march over there peacefully and patriotically, right?
Well, and I was watching at the time, and like what they said happened didn't happen. Like what you just said happened.
Right.
He said, be peaceful, go do whatever. He did not say any of the shit they said he said. And that's what frustrates me. He's like, I watched it live. I know what happened. I know all these things, all the COVID stuff. I know what was going on. And now you guys are finally figuring it out. Saw some dumbass still wearing a mask today, driving through St. Paul in a car by himself.
Science. Health. God. All right, this is the one that gets me, and this is when we were actually watching the debate. You know, CBS actually kind of cleaned it up, and they, in fairness to CBS, the moderators, they get off this article, Dawson. They ended up asking tough questions to Walz, especially the one about supporting abortion in the 9th month. A complete miss, in my opinion, by J.D. Vance. He should just yielded his time for Tim Walz to actually answer that question. They asked it twice, and Walz danced around. It was some pretty careful dancing. But anyhow, because, you know, Democrats don't want to admit that they actually don't want to define when life begins. But this is the phrasing of, they moved to the conversation of the hurricane, a tragic event. But, well, we can't possibly talk about a hurricane without, you know, propagandizing climate change. This is at the 10:13 mark here, Dawson, asking J.D. Vance about the hurricane. And listen to this.
Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to. Nora?
Margaret, thank you. Let's turn now to Hurricane Helene. The storm could become one of the deadliest on record. More than 160 people are dead and hundreds more are missing. Scientists say climate change makes these hurricanes larger, stronger, and more deadly because of the historic rainfall. Senator Vance, according to CBS News polling, 7 in 10 Americans and more than 60% of Republicans under the age of 45 favor the U.S. taking steps to try and reduce climate change. Senator, what responsibility would the Trump administration have to try and reduce the impact of climate change? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Okay, once again, not a massively huge issue in this election cycle, except for the far left, right? This is an issue of the far left. It'd be really interesting to see, Is there an issue of the far right that most people care about? But literally, polling after polling shows what the three biggest issues: first, economy; second, border; and then abortion. And the abortion, obviously, weighing in a little bit more on the left, but obviously people on the right care about that. So inserting this question from I know I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but this is not settled science. I believe this is a massive hoax, but then they use this tragedy to act as if it is man-made climate change. By the way, is it global warming or climate change? Climate change in this question, but
I asked during it was Education Policy Committee this spring. They had teachers in, and there's a new law. They want to teach climate activism in school. I'm like, no, that's bullshit. So I asked the teacher, I said, are you going to talk about geologic timescale? And they're like, what? I'm like, well, we have to talk about geologic timescale. We have to talk about how the Earth has been warmer when humans weren't even around. Right. We can prove it, but you're not going to talk about that. You're just going to go with the little period of time here that we have no control over. And I can't remember who I was talking about this the other day, but so I have a degree in wildlife biology. I'm a wildlife biologist.
And you can define what a woman is, right?
Exactly. And so to get my degree, I had classes in geology, and at the time, when the climate stuff they were first pushing it, I had a professor that was very careful about how they taught us, because some of his friends literally this is probably the first time I've ever said this to any audience, but he had friends who were professors that just disappeared when they were trying to say this is a hoax, it's a lie. Now there's enough people saying it that it's like, well, shit, you have people that are winning Nobel Peace Prizes that say it's a lie. We have physicists that are saying it's a lie. It's not real.
Oh, come on. What kind
so
of
we got these geologists that are like, well, I don't want to die, to teach kids in college that this is bullshit.
That seems very paranoid there, but certainly you're not going to get funding, that's for sure. They've tainted the pool of funding for research, heavily in favor of that. That's a big problem. It's the same kind of corrupted science that's involved with pharmaceutical companies.
Science?
So if you want to
science, right?
If you want to have solar panels, a windmill, whatever, great. But if it's more efficient and it doesn't actually cost more to build the thing than if we could just do it with nuclear energy, which isn't as energy wasteful, because you're never even getting the energy out. I know a guy that works on windmills. I don't know if I've said this on here before, but he said in 20 years, if we don't figure out that these things don't work, we're stupid. He said in 20 years I should be out of a job.
Yeah,
like a guy that works on them.
Yeah. All right, pull up at the mark 17:23, Dustin. So after they're done getting the answers to questions, I think Tim Walz is the last to speak. And I just don't think I've seen this too much in debates. I don't know why you think this is in bounds, but after they're done with the questions, instead of just moving on to the next question, they want to insert another line of propaganda. Go ahead and play this.
Of energy policy is exactly what she's doing, creating those jobs right here.
Governor, your time is up. The overwhelming consensus among scientists is that the Earth's climate is warming at an unprecedented rate. Margaret, thank you, Nora. We're going to turn now to...
What the hell is that? And it's not like they're going fact-checking J.D. Vance because it was after Tim Walz's 2 minutes. Why are you inserting that? I mean, if you can't just see the propaganda here, it's insane.
When I went back and I re-listened to some of this, it's like, J.D. Vance, do you think that Trump is Hitler? Yes or no? Answer the question. Tim Walz, 1 + 1 = 2, and that's the answer. Do you agree? Yes.
Yeah. Well, except for his China question.
Well, yeah.
Well, actually, the China question was a little tough, but
kind of
the one that was tougher was the 9-month abortion.
It really isn't even that tough. All he had to say was, I misspoke. It was my mistake. I misspoke.
Okay, so here's my conspiracy about this, Jesse. You tear holes in this. He has done so much, including multiple occasions of stolen valor and so many lies that are really out there, that I almost feel like this was his idea. Actually, it seems very obvious this was his idea, was to say I misspeak at times, right? That was his talking points. That was obviously prepared, okay? That I misspeak. And so when I said I carried weapons in war, no, I was just misspeaking. I'm just dumb like that. I do that. What was he?
It worked for Joe Biden.
Yeah, he was he said something about himself. I could be like a knucklehead. There you go. So I'm just misspeaking. So that was clearly planned. Here's my conspiracy. Did he purposely say I'm friends with school shooters so he could just show everyone, oh, look, I misspeak? And that was clearly misspeaking. Is that, do you guys buy into that?
Inception level.
I don't know.
If that was Trump, you'd be like, that's 4D chess, right, Jesse?
I just don't think Walz is that smart when it comes to debating and stuff like that.
He's just a loud, angry.
He looked way too nervous.
He's
to
loud and
have anything
angry.
planned.
I agree. I don't actually buy into that theory. All right. B4 Dawson, this is fake news. NBC gathered a bunch of undecided voters. So they just happened to find undecided voters in, I think it was Philadelphia or Pennsylvania.
Here,
and the early feedback is promising. What?
Triggering me.
I'm triggering you.
Oh, man.
What is that all about?
That's about Jacob Fry.
I only saw the headline.
Be a little bit careful with those.
No crime going on here.
Didn't you see that?
Yeah,
I did.
I saw that.
Now you got me off my game.
Sorry.
All right. So anyhow, apparently they found just a bunch of random undecided voters in Pennsylvania, and it looks like, well, Tim Walz actually won this debate. Now, Jesse, you brought up a fair point in the pre-show. Yeah, Fox News does the same thing, so that's to be expected of NBC News. Washington Post, is that a big conservative newspaper? No? Wesenberg says no. Clearly it's not. Here's Washington Post, who, when they actually, are we really going to get blocked here?
Yep.
Hit refresh real quick so they can see the graphic. Right there. 14 people say Vance, 8 people said Walz. You just have to trust us on that. There you go. Yeah, we're getting the. We have to subscribe. That's the case. We have to subscribe. All right. So anyhow, according to the Washington Post, they found 14-8 thought that J.D. Vance won the debate. Once again, my conclusion on this thing, it's really not going to make a big difference in the grand scheme of things.
Nope.
Even Dawson thought J.D. Vance won the debate, right?
I thought it was pretty clear that Vance is more practiced at this kind of thing, and Walz is being set up with the caricature of, I'm just your hometown guy, whatever, where New Yorkers will look at him and be like, oh, country bumpkin, I get it. But that's gonna fault him when it comes to debating, and all of a sudden he's gonna put on this pristine thing. I don't think so.
I think even the New York Post called out CBS for what they were doing, though. So
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Which is great.
Well, New York Post is Rupert Murdoch paper. You weren't saying the Times, were you?
Maybe something.
Yeah,
maybe
Post is part of the Fox conglomerate, the Rupert Murdoch network. All right, Troy Scheffler, let's talk about you here. You are running as an America First candidate.
Americans first.
Is it really Americans first?
Everybody gets it wrong, yeah.
Well, why?
I get it, and there was a little play on words there and everything else, but I'm a populist and a nationalist, so it's like America would include a lot of things.
Why don't you
Americans? I want to include the people first.
Oh, gotcha. Should have been apostrophe America first. That would have been much better. All right, so you got ballot signatures back in June during the filing period. You're on the ballot in House District 6 Bravo. 6 Bravo. Okay. You know, every 10 years they change the districts. I have them all recognized by heart until they change them. So I couldn't remember exactly what it was. It used to be 10. So 6.
Yeah, Brainerd Lakes area.
Gotcha. Okay. You're going up against a Democrat and Representative Josh Heintzeman. You know, my joke right there should have been the Democrat's name and go, you're going up against a Democrat and the I wasn't prepared for that one.
Democrat.
That was bad. Yeah. Okay. No, Heintzeman, he votes for a lot of bad stuff, no doubt about it. Heintzeman's been, I knew Heintzeman going back 10 years ago, I mean, he certainly was conservative back then. Things happen to people at the Capitol. Boy, he's so goofy. He literally door-knocked Eric Mortensen's wife back in the 2022 primary, trying to convince her to vote for his primary opponent. We've shown that video multiple times on this show. Goofy dude. All right. But it's been getting really interesting up there. You guys are 2.5 hours north of us, so it's not like we know all the dynamics. You're running against him. All of a sudden, Star Tribune has an article. This is the C1 Dawson. And apparently the Pequot Lakes police chief says Representative Josh Heintzeman pressured him for support. What is going on here? You're mentioned many times in this article.
Well, according to Josh's own words, he's really upset that I'm running as an independent, and obviously being a nationalist, I'm going to tend to attract more Republican-type voters. And he's very concerned that I'll split the vote enough to where the Democrat's going to get elected. Chief Davis ended up signing my petition to get on the ballot as an independent.
When you say that, you're just going around. You got to gather 500 signatures. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. To get
anyone can sign it. That's a legal voter in Minnesota.
Absolutely.
Okay? Well, some people sign these things because
you have to be in 6B to sign.
Well, sorry, a legal voter in 6B, and anyone could sign these things, even if they don't vote for you in the election.
Exactly.
It's just maybe we should allow options. Maybe this person asked very nice, you know, a lot of us Girl Scouts come to the door and you're like, sure, I'll buy cookies. I'm on a diet, or I really don't want to eat the cookies, but I'll buy the cookies from. Like, to me, I don't look at this at all, as a political operative, that like this even makes a big difference. But apparently Heintzeman did think this was a big deal.
Yeah, he was very offended by it. He thinks he has a monopoly on law enforcement. He touts around the MPPOA endorsement.
But hold on. This police chief hasn't actually endorsed you. All he did was signed a petition to say, yeah, you should be able to be a candidate on the ballot.
Well, you've met Josh, haven't you?
Yeah, I know.
The guys.
Well, my audience hasn't all met him, but I'm just trying to say, like, it's not a crazy.
He's got a big head, metaphorically and physically. So, I mean, did I say that out loud? But yeah, he's very arrogant. In fact, that's probably the most common description I get: smug, arrogant, and I haven't really heard of a description of him otherwise. So when he sees a public official that is even going to acknowledge me, that infuriates him. And
how does he know that he signed a petition? Like, where does he get this information from?
Well, that's why I got 600 signatures instead of 500. 500 is the legal amount to get on the ballot. I knew Josh would pull my signatures from the Secretary of State because they're public.
Okay.
And that's exactly what he did. So then he started calling names off of that.
So think about this. These are people, just regular Joes, signing a petition. It's politics. And he's downloading that information and then using that. Is that legal? I know you can't do this with like financial records. So is this even legal to do that?
Well, technically speaking, I mean, it's legal to get the signatures.
No, I'm saying to actually use that list.
But to use the list for campaign purposes, you're saying?
Well, it's certainly unethical, but that's...
You don't know?
What else is doing?
I mean, it might actually be illegal. I don't know.
The illegal portion is when you're calling those people that actually signed it and said, you better be voting for me or else.
He's harassing them. Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, that's where the illegality comes into play.
Because he got it from that list. I mean, obviously, as a candidate, he can.
Well, it's voter intimidation.
Right, and that's the law.
You can't do that.
Is the law. Yeah,
that's the law. It's illegal.
So in Josh's case, he was calling this police chief saying, "Well, wait, you're going to split the vote. You got to support me," and so on and so forth. And then the chief was like, "Well, wait." Not going to tell me what to do, essentially. And Josh was even more infuriated, so he started calling the mayor, the city administrator, telling them that they need to talk to him. He called the Chiefs Association head, said the same thing, and the entire time he's throwing around that, I'm a House rep.
Yeah.
So he's using his official position to bully people into getting them to then ultimately bully the chief.
What's the end game for him here? Do you have any idea? Like, is he trying to get this guy fired? Because you can't revoke the signature. They've already accepted the petitions.
Well, that's the interesting thing. When kind of his shtick initially, and even with the chief, was he would call these people and start asking, no, you were just kidding, right? You were just kidding when you signed that. And I think his idea, the gambit, was to get people to say, oh yeah, I was just kidding.
Oh, use it against.
Yeah, shame them into getting them, and then say, here we go, we got to strike that signature, and then he would get me.
This is the guy running HRCC. That's his strategy right there.
Well, there it is. So yeah, I mean, it was he laid it on thick with the chief, and the chief didn't buckle. And I mean, really, there's got to be a lot of credit given to this guy, and I'd implore anybody that's watching this, or you guys or whatever, to send that chief an email saying thanks for actually stepping up, because it takes a lot and you guys know, public officials many times, they don't want to they don't want to rock the boat, They don't want to do this and that, they don't want to get involved, but he did the right thing.
Right.
And he did sign the affidavit saying that Heintzeman was doing all this stuff and initiated the Office of Administrative Hearings complaint. And ultimately it could result in prosecution, but, we can only hope.
Well, and you're right about an ethical conduct. I mean, I think, once again, voters can make their decision here. I guess Heintzeman just doesn't like competition. I mean, who would want more competition? Geez, failed candidate's very hot on the Rumble rants today.
Yep. $5 Rumble rant Phil candidate says Heintzeman is an angry and psychotic little troll.
Okay, can you fact check that? Is he
fact check? That checks out. That checks out.
We're going to CBS News right now. Mm-hmm. What? Oh, they confirmed it. All right. So, did you file the complaint with the Office of Administration hearing, or was it? I'm losing his name here because I'm getting the paywall on Star Tribune.
Chief Davis.
What's Davis's first name? Because I want to get
Mike.
into. Okay, so Mike Davis. Did he actually file this complaint, or you just were privy to it and you did?
I filed it. I had heard about it from multiple sources. Then I had talked to the chief about it.
Well, one would maybe say this is election interference.
Not me. Yes. It is.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it is.
One might make that conclusion. Okay, so
and probable cause was found on one of the claims that you were bringing forward, right?
Right, prima facie probable cause. Mm-hmm. So the first hurdle, the actual probable cause hearing, is going to be on the 15th to find full probable cause, and then he has an opportunity to present his witnesses and whatnot. I mean, there's already an affidavit from a police chief. There's going to be a police chiefs association, and he's quoted in the paper, and a few other people that are saying that they're going to attend the hearing. So as long as I can prove what's in that prima facie finding.
I don't see this story in my Star Tribune voter guide today. Shoot. It's not that far.
You got another one there, Jesse.
Just imagine.
Yeah,
you have to be
This
informed.
is a musical tone too. You have to do it in music.
No, I'm not singing it, but Love Minnesota says, Oompa Loompa Doopity Doo, I've got a perfect puzzle for you. Oompa Loompa Doopity Doo, if you are wise, you'll listen to me.
I do actually. I'm gonna just be honest here for a second. Now, Bridget, I don't think would have done it. Okay. But I'm pretty certain this is the one thing Tushy would have done better than you guys in the comment section. If he was able to read it, he would actually sing that song. And he's actually got a damn good singing voice. He's a good musician. A lot of people don't know about that. All right. So Mike Davis has a brother, apparently. Police Chief Mike Davis of Pequot Lakes has a brother. Who's his brother?
His brother's Ben Davis of 6A.
Representative Ben Davis.
Exactly.
Like you say, Ben Davis. Oh, everyone knows that. Representative. So his brother is in the Republican House.
That's Josh's housemate.
Is this what do you mean? It's because he's on the other
6A
side?
6B, yeah.
Oh, I was like, are they roommates too? Because a lot of these guys room up,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any idea? Do you have any inside? Actually, Tushy's going to be in our post show. Maybe he's got some insight on how that's going. But what is the talk inside the ranks at the Capitol right now, like with this happening to his brother?
Well,
do you want it now or do you want it in the post show?
Do you have info on this? Okay, we'll save it for the post show because I bet Tushy's got some. Because Tushy's going to join us for the post show. That's the stuff you get. All right, I want to go to this story here, Troy. Let's pull this up. This is the the C2. This is a video you posted on Facebook. I want you to explain what's going on here.
Is there audio in this one?
Go ahead and play, Dawson. I'll pause it real quick. So in this video, you're looking at Josh Heintzeman on his side-by-side, right?
Yes.
On a phone, it looks like.
Correct.
And then next to him is a sheriff's deputy? What is that?
He's a sergeant, but yeah, he works for the Crow Wing County Sheriff's Department.
All right, so set the stage for us. What's going on here, and why is this being filmed?
Okay, so Matthew Zinda was the person that primaried Josh under the Republican ticket.
Yep.
He found out that Josh had put just Republican down on his affidavit instead of the Republican Party of Minnesota. Apparently everyone does that somehow, and that makes it okay, but state law literally says you have to use the party name, and Republican isn't the party name. It just isn't. So he ended up filing a petition with the Supreme Court to get Josh taken off the ballot. These things go incredibly fast, and service needs to happen like now. And at this point, Zinda had got an initial order from the court, but that order said that order needs to be served within 6 hours to all the parties. So it has to go to all the candidates. It has to go to the Secretary of State. It has to go to the county elections head. And so it was this ultra scramble. Zinda had employed the sheriff's department and the police department and whoever else he could find to serve all these people so quickly. One of those people was me. So I ended up stopping by Josh's house to serve him the papers. So I'm over 18 and I'm not party to the action. And he was refusing to accept it via email. Everyone else took it by email. So he was already dodging service. So I stopped by his house, and he was hiding in his house, refusing to take the service, which is kind of funny because his endorsed candidate from the commissioner race in 2022, she ended up getting sued, and she was also dodging service and literally hid in her garage for over 20 minutes and shut the lights off. That's the video you should watch. It's pretty hilarious, but I digress. In any event, he wouldn't answer his door, so I left, and he ended up calling the police saying that there was a suspicious vehicle at his house. He knew damn well it was me. And I had texted and emailed him.
He knows it's you, and he's using police resources for
and that's I make a comment to Cronquist, that's the deputy that showed up. I'm like, I'm like, what's up, man? And this guy, he's just wasting police resources. Don't sweat it. And
okay, let's play out that video then here, Dawson.
What's up, man? Oh, we got this guy that likes to waste law enforcement resources.
Okay, so then he just takes off.
Right, it didn't work out as well as he thought it was going to go better than that.
Did he actually get served then?
It turned out that the sheriff's office had just served him like a half an hour before.
Oh, okay.
And they hadn't told me yet. So, he ended up getting served, and the case went forward.
Okay,
but,
gotcha.
He was a little disappointed that backfired. And it was kind of odd because I ended up pulling the reports afterwards, and he was trying to claim that I was harassing him. It's like, well, what is it? Am I a suspicious vehicle, or am I harassing you? I mean, it can't really necessarily be both.
If I was trying to give the devil's due, like, there's a chance he doesn't know who this person is. I'm trying to live over here in my homestead. I want somebody coming up. But it just does seem goofy at the end that it's as if he's disappointed in how the conversation's going, and he just bails.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And in fact, like I said, people were calling him. There was law enforcement asking him to take the service so they wouldn't have to waste their time. I emailed and texted him asking him just to take it by email. He refused to do that. So he knew he was getting served these papers, which is why he was dodging service. And that kind of goes back to the original petition getting served. He ended up lying to law enforcement that he wasn't home, but he said that he was on his excavator. And it's like, well, his excavator's at his house. And so they sent a squad out there, and lo and behold, the excavator was sitting right there. So Mr. I support law enforcement is totally okay with intimidating them and lying to them constantly.
Yeah.
So
in our last story today, we're going to talk about other misuse of government resources, with legislators suing the government over
that'll be
a bill she supported with her vote. But all right, so where does this thing stand? I mean, I feel like we're going to have you back on the show We got, what, a month left? A little over a month left to go in this election. It seems like things are pretty spicy up in your area. So
they're going to get spicy.
Stand right now.
Well, the debate's coming up on the 11th.
There's a debate?
Yeah, so
really?
I encourage everyone to tune in.
Is it online somewhere?
Yeah, it's going to be PBS, Lakeland PBS.
Should we do a live stream of it, guys? What do you guys think?
A little watch party? Let's do a watch party.
This might be interesting.
Oh, yeah,
October 11th, that's a Friday night.
Friday.
Yeah.
They're doing a debate on a Friday night?
7 p.m., I believe.
7 p.m. on a Friday night? Really?
Yeah, cracking some cold ones. And
I mean, Friday night. Oh, God, failed candidates added again. So let's go. We got a rumble rant from failed candidates.
Well, I'm kind of liking this guy. So
It says, Heintzeman is a low-integrity little bitch who has to film all interactions with people. What a cuck. I thought the same thing, to sit there and film it like that. It's obviously to try to intimidate you, to try to intimidate the officer into doing what he wants. But, yeah, I mean, then he just drives away at the end. I mean, it shows that, like you said, he's wasting their time, wasting the resources of the county. And yeah, I mean, for him to drive off like that, it shows the kind of person he is.
Last time I talked to him on the phone, he started yelling at me because he's like, "You're probably recording this." I'm like, "You mean like you do to everybody?"
Yeah, apparently he does that a lot.
Oh yeah, no, he totally does. Yeah.
And then he hung up on me. Heintzeman called me once and yelled at me. So it sounds like people are.
Let's tell your story about Josh Heintzeman. By the way, we haven't even. I think we showed the video last show, but him door knocking Carrie Mortensen, asking for her to vote for Bob Loonan, her husband's opponent in the primary. And that's who this guy is. Oh, man. All right, so you got a debate on October 11th. Man, that is so... All right, we have to... I'm going to be watching, probably not live because Friday night. Jeez, I got a life here.
Oh, come on. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it will be fun.
Like I said, watch party, some beers and everything else. There's going to be sparks, guaranteed, if he shows.
You bow hunting?
Oh, well, middle of October through end of the year.
Yeah, I suppose that's probably peak rut.
Well, you got a phone. Stream it from your phone.
Yeah, no kidding.
Or
okay,
catch
cool.
a replay.
All right, let's get into this last story. This is so fascinating. Oh, man. I didn't even know about this story this morning. Apparently, Alpha News, I didn't put the article in here, but Alpha News, I was looking.
I've got it linked in my article.
Okay.
But yeah, Dawson, let's go ahead and pull up D3, and people can see this new article that we got out there talking about an artificial intelligence anti-free speech bill. Imagine a government that is so desperate for control and so out of touch with the people that they decide to pass a bill that makes artificial intelligence, AI memes, illegal. Despite how ridiculous and unconstitutional that sounds, Minnesota's legislature passed that law with flying colors. HF 1370 was a bill authored by Democrats and was co-authored by supposed conservative Walter Hudson. We previously reported on this law, and we were the only organized opposition to this anti-free speech legislation. House File 1370 create criminal penalties on two topics. One, pornographic deepfakes, and two, deepfake images that could, quote, influence elections. So if a meme is too accurate or too believable, the creator or sharer of that image could be fined $10,000 and spend up to 5 years in prison. Despite our exposing the truth on this issue, this bill was passed unanimously by the State House and State Senate with one exception, Senator Nate Wesenberg. Now that Walz is being exposed on the national stage, more Minnesotans are waking up to exactly what was passed in the legislature, and apparently that even includes legislators. Rhino Representative Mary Franson has managed to prove how unprincipled and stupid she really is. Franson is now suing on free speech grounds concerning the deepfake bill that she voted for. So people can see that this was unanimously passed in the House. Franson's vote is highlighted there. There she is, voting for the bill that she now thinks is somehow unconstitutional. So, Franson, I went back and watched the debate on this bill. I wanted to go and see, let me make sure I really understand what's going on here. Franson didn't say a single word during the debate of this bill while it was on the floor on 3/30/23 or 5/16/23. One attempt was made to amend the bill by Rhino Representative Ann New Brindley, but it failed, and New Brindley did not request a roll call vote, proving that she was unserious about her amendment. Representatives Jim Nash and Harry Niska showed a little bit of skepticism, but went along with the establishment's anti-free speech bill in the end. Like Nash and Niska, Franson went along with the sheet. She is not only late to the punch on this issue, but it was a self-imposed disaster, because Franson now states that this bill, quote, represents a dramatic overreach that goes farther than any law in the country and must be challenged in court, end quote. And so while we appreciate that Mary Franson has now seen the light, we would have preferred that this challenge and fight be brought on the floor instead of over a year after the fact. So by filing this federal lawsuit, Franson is essentially admitting that she voted for an unconstitutional, big government, anti-free speech law that hurts Minnesotans, and she didn't have the guts to call it out when it mattered. Alpha News writes up a puff piece on Franson, bragging about this, but we're busy exposing her real record. And interestingly, Alpha News didn't want to include the name of the senator, the only senator who voted against this bill. For whatever reason, Alpha News is afraid to say Nathan Wesenberg's name because it seems, I'm sure people would like to know that. Was it a Republican or Democrat that voted against it? I wonder what the reasons were.
I'll give Alex a call and ask him what's up.
They could have seen that, it was you who had voted against it. So, but this shows also that she and other rhinos are engaged in their jobs incompetently. And so during the debate of this bill on the floor on 3/30/23, Representative Walter Hudson took the time to praise Democrat Zach Stevenson, the proactive nature of this bill, and said that the bill showed, quote, the type of thinking that we need to, that we have to be able to do and willing to do, end quote. He also said the implementation of the bill, quote, might be a little sloppy, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. Sounds like some big government anti-freedom talk. That's exactly what he said. I'm not pulling that out of my ass here. It is clear that Walter's attempts to calm down any Republican opposition was successful, which now allows an out-of-control Democrat administration to lock up people for memes. Walter did eventually take his name off this bill.
I was just going to cover that.
It was only after Democrats added more things to the bill. Once the bill was back to its original state, Hudson was back on board as a supporter. So the next time you see someone locked up for a meme, the next time you see someone going to prison or facing jail time or getting fined $10,000, you can thank conservative Walter Hudson for that one. You can thank conservative Mary Franson. So we appreciate that she's seen the light. We appreciate that she's taking on this lawsuit. We hope that they're successful in this lawsuit. We want to see this unconstitutional law be strucken down. Considering that we're the only organized opposition to this, we'll continue to expose the truth. While Mary Franson, like I said, appreciate her doing this now, but she should have done it when the moment was ripe, which was when it was on the floor.
So the big problem with this bill is that it puts in so much stuff, right, when it's supposedly just taking down deep fakes.
Go back
right?
to,
it's a pretty short bill, but essentially what it does is it says influencing elections, quote, to say that
go to D2, Dawson.
Okay.
By the way, Heintzeman voted for this bill.
I was about to throw that in.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
I just love how you take down. I remember giving Walter a little hard time on a phone call about this because he was an initial sponsor and took his name off. So this is, it looks like you wrote this one, Jesse.
Well, and like
March
I said,
31st.
When it passed again, he said, I don't know exactly how it got back in the original state, but I'm glad it is, and I'm going to tell everyone to vote for it. So
that impression was spot on. That sounds just like him.
That's exactly what Walter said. So, it's annoying, but,
All right, so scroll. So this is March 13th, 2023, and these had just come out. Those are great. I mean, that is just spot on. I thought there was a montage of them. Maybe we just hyperlink to them. Go back up under that picture.
Yeah, if you click HF 1370.
No, don't click on that. No, I thought there was gonna be I thought we had a loop of those, but there's a bunch. There's one where like Trump is like running away from the cops. It was all. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, fake images of Trump's arrest.
I like the one with the cats. That's my favorite.
Yeah. Yup.
No, you see where it says fake images of Trump's arrest? It's the first hyperlink. There you go. So there's just like a whole montage of these things.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's just so broad. Who's going to be the judge except for these Democrat judges on whether or not some sort of meme could influence the outcome of an election? It just shows that they're going to have all this power and ability to abuse it. And it's so broad to say influencing an election. I mean, that means that any meme about any politician could be considered influencing an election. So this is the kind of anti-free speech stuff that, we can thank
go back
Walter
to that
Hudson
article.
for.
Great point. And by the way, I totally forgot this in the debate section of the show. Do you guys, Tim Walz all of a sudden is quoting scripture. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah. About illegal immigration.
My God, you are such a phony politician. Well, we knew that. All right, go back to the A4L article there, Dawson. And scroll down. This was Ann New Brindley, former state rep. I guess she is until she gets replaced. and that is her show. And now listen, these assholes, they know what they're doing. They're showing some fake piece by Democrats, but it's
and Representative Ben Davis loved what she had to say. I hate to say that about Ben because I like Ben, but him and the other troll in the legislature there were sitting next to each other, and they were laughing. They thought she was so funny, so creative, and all she was doing was attacking Mort, and it just shows how out of touch these people are. Eric Mortensen got more grassroots fundraising than any other representative in the entire legislature, and they don't realize how out of touch they sound when she goes up there and she just sits there and attacks and attacks and attacks. There's a reason that we liked him. It was because he was the only one who didn't spend any of the surplus money. He was the only one that didn't try to grow any government. And there's all these rhinos like her that try to do historical revisionism. And look at her. She's just so happy that Brad Tabke is in there, the Democrat, instead of Eric Mortensen, because Mort would have held them accountable.
It's pretty unfortunate that this is like the first foray into legislating against what could actually be dangerous technology when it comes to AI and deepfake
and
stuff.
It shows incompetence by these people.
Yeah, which it's so unfortunate because it is a dangerous technology if it's used incorrectly, but the fact that it's purely to cover their butts with like election
that's okay.
stuff
Walter says it might be a little sloppy, but that's okay. We'll figure it out.
Well, okay.
It's absurd.
I don't know how this turned into just Walter. I mean, the point of this whole bit is the fact that I assume Mary Franson's suing on unconstitutional grounds, right?
Right.
Okay. But you voted for the unconstitutional legislation.
Right.
And you allowed it to become law. So I think the big story here is you literally could have listened to us. March 13th, 2023, we were calling out how bad this bill was, right? You could have listened to us, got a faction of people up at the Capitol to vote against it, and saved our taxpayers money by not now having to get court time and pay Keith Ellison, because she's going to be going up in court against Keith Ellison as Attorney General, who's going to be representing. What is she suing? Is she suing the legislature? How does that? I don't even know.
I'm not sure.
She'll be suing essentially
it's
Keith Ellison in court.
Right.
So now who's paying Keith Ellison's salary here? Us taxpayers. When you could have just actually worked your butt off as a legislature to stop this bill from passing.
And she's out there saying, I was for the pornography section, but against the other section. Well, really, I guess I should be able to find a speech of you on the floor saying that then, right? I guess I should be able to find you arguing that. Well, nope, that doesn't exist. So, she's
they tried
trying
to use a
claim
deep
one
fake
thing
against
after
me
the
when I
fact.
ran.
What's that?
Yeah, sure, that gas can photo.
Yeah.
Deepfake, huh?
Well, I think back to the Running Man, so all this stuff gets me a little nervous. But where they framed Arnie and
I'm worried about Terminator. I'm worried about a lot of things going on in this world coming true.
Hey, man, but sometimes I guess to these politicians, the Constitution gets in their way,
Yes.
and it's actually kind of funny because what will be coming up in this hearing is certainly going to be a question that I asked Heintzeman, because he told the chief this that he had a fight against the Constitution, both the state and the feds, and he was whining how that was too constrictive to him. And, and if he splits the vote, how am I going to make a living?
Really?
That's who we're working with. So, it is what it is.
There. What do you got?
So is this unconstitutional suing thing, is this going to be like the Minnesota courts have to decide whether or not deep fakes are free speech?
Well, it's in the federal courts right now. So
Yeah. In fact, there's a good judgment in California. A judge blocked enforcement of Gavin Newsom's bill. Elon Musk has been big about this thing here recently. So, I think Mary is just jumping onto something that a lot of people are, thinking of right now. But it's just so funny because, and apparently some other guy wanted to do the suit and he found her for some reason. But it's like, boy, of all the people that, could have filed suit against it, maybe the one person in the whole legislature that voted against a thing, maybe you could have come and talk to Nate Wesenberg.
And this is the first time I've heard about it. When I sat down in this chair right now.
Yeah.
So Alpha News reached out to her and talked to her. Why don't you reach out to me? I voted against it. It's not constitutional. I mean, do your job.
Your name's not even in the article.
And that's what I mean. They're probably a little mad at me because I've been giving them shit because they're not doing news. It should be balanced. It's not balanced news. It's go after the left and we won't talk about what the right's doing.
Yeah, and promote the establishment right.
You know,
that's the lane they're in.
We've heard all kinds of stuff about Krisha, but literally, I'll just bring up the one thing. They're like, look at what this Democrat did. That was literally Ron Krisha's bill that he introduced, and you're saying it's bad. Look what the Democrats did. They took his bill from years ago, the illegal immigration one, and they used it, and they're saying, look what they did. Well, say who wrote the bill.
Yeah. He's censoring himself. All right, we got to get to our post show. I got big things going on today. So if you'd like to join us at the post show, if you're already a subscriber, it helps us out, $8 a month, or you could do $88 a year, which is you get a whole month off there. Go hit join on Rumble. If you're on a Rumble page, or you can look on Rumble, Truth Hurts. Or actually another easy way to do it is just go to truthhurtsnews.com. Go to truthhurtsnews.com, that banner on the top. That's how you can do it. And then you get your free locals account. And then you can watch our post show there where we let everything rip, right? We don't censor ourselves like Wesenberg just did. And Liberty Longbeard joins us in the post show to give you the latest gossip, inside information that's going on in Minnesota politics. He knows a lot. He talks to a lot of people. It's really interesting, and we want to make that available to our subscribers. So go to truthhurtsnews.com, or if you're on Rumble, just click join on the top. To do that, thank you to Warren Wessel of Keller Williams Realty. If you're looking to buy a home or sell a home, give my good friend Warren Wessel a call. If you're buying a home, give the guys at John Galt Mortgage Company a chance at financing that home. Go to johngaltmortgage.com. And thank you to Alpine Cabinetry. Thank you to failed candidate and Love Minnesota, and I don't know if it was Tucker, I can't remember who the other person was, but for the Rumble Rants, thank you guys for powering up the show. We're going to keep bringing good information to you guys as it comes out. We'll be back next Tuesday for those who aren't going to be in the post show. For everyone else, we'll see you there in 1 minute. Take care.